You can be in a room full of people and still feel completely alone. Not physically alone, surrounded, maybe even laughing. But something underneath is quiet and hollow, like you're watching the room from behind glass. And then you go home, you sit down, and your dog walks over, presses against your leg, and just stays there. No questions, no performance required, just warmth, and something inside you loosens. Something you didn't even realize you were holding. Here's the thing, most people never stop to ask, why does that feel so different? Why does 5 minutes with a dog sometimes do what hours with people can't? This isn't a coincidence. It isn't just cuteness or comfort in the shallow sense. There is something genuinely psychological happening in that moment. And once you understand it, you'll never see your relationship with your dog the same way again. Most people think loneliness is about being alone, about empty rooms and no one to call, about scrolling through a contact list and deciding not to reach out to anyone. That's the version of loneliness we talk about, the visible kind, the kind that looks like isolation from the outside. But that's not really what loneliness is. Loneliness is the feeling of not being understood, of being around people but not being seen by them, of speaking and not being truly heard, of performing a version of yourself because the real version feels too complicated, too much, or too hard to explain. You can be deeply lonely in a relationship. You can be lonely at a party where everyone knows your name. Loneliness lives in the gap between who you are and how people experience you. And that gap is exhausting to carry. But here's where it gets deeper. Your brain underneath every conversation, every social interaction, every room you walk into is running a single background process. It's quiet, you're rarely aware of it, but it never stops. And the question it's constantly asking is simply this: am I safe here? Not physically safe, emotionally safe, safe to be imperfect, safe to be quiet, safe to not be okay, safe to exist without having to manage how you're being perceived. With people, the answer to that question is almost always complicated. Because people have expectations, they have moods, they have their own wounds that sometimes collide with yours. They misread you, they project, they give advice when you wanted presence. They get distracted halfway through the most important thing you were trying to say. None of this is cruelty. It's just the complexity of being human around other humans. But complexity has a cost. And that cost is that your nervous system never fully relaxes. Not completely. There's always a low-level hum of monitoring happening, reading tone, adjusting words, deciding how much is too much to share. With your dog, that hum goes silent. Your nervous system gets the thing it has been quietly waiting for all day. Permission to just be. Not to perform being okay. Not to explain yourself. Not to edit your sadness into something more digestible. Just presence. Just contact. Just the weight of something warm that isn't asking anything from you. And this is the part most people never notice, that response isn't just emotional, it's physiological. When you make contact with a dog, when you sit beside them or stroke their fur or let them lean into you, your body releases oxytocin, the same neurochemical that drives human bonding, trust, and emotional safety, the same chemical that's supposed to activate when you feel truly seen by another person. Your brain doesn't distinguish the source. It registers the safety, it registers the warmth, and it responds. This isn't imagination. It isn't projection. It's biology doing exactly what it was designed to do, and your dog, without any awareness of psychology or attachment theory, is triggering the exact response your nervous system has been craving. So your dog isn't replacing people. Your dog is replacing the feeling that people sometimes fail to give you. That line is worth sitting with, because what you're reaching for when you're lonely isn't people themselves. It's a feeling. The feeling of safety. The feeling of being fully received without having to justify your existence in that moment. And your dog gives you that feeling in a way that is immediate, unconditional, and completely without agenda. Think about the layers of what that actually means. Your dog doesn't judge you, not when you haven't showered, not when you're crying over something that probably looks small from the outside, not when you cancel plans or eat badly or say the wrong thing or spiral quietly in the corner of your own life. The dog doesn't register any of it as a reason to love you less. There is no performance required, no social calibration, no version of you that you have to be instead of the version you actually are. Your dog has never met your edited self. They only know the real one. And people, even people who love you, mostly know your edited self. The version you bring to conversations. The version that manages its own reactions slightly in real time. Your dog is maybe the only living thing that consistently, reliably meets you where you actually are. There's something else. People are half present. This isn't a judgment. It's just true. When you're with someone, they're also somewhere else a little bit in their phone, in their own thoughts, in the thing they need to say next. Full presence is rare among humans. We are distracted creatures, living in a distracted world. But your dog is always entirely there. When you are the focus, you are completely the focus. That quality of attention, that being fully witnessed, is something the human nervous system is deeply hungry for. And most of us get it so rarely that we don't even realize we're hungry until we feel it. And then there's this, your dog doesn't hear your words. They feel your state. They're not parsing your sentences or measuring your tone against what you said last Tuesday. They're reading the energy underneath the words. The actual emotional truth of what you're carrying, and they respond to that. Not to the performance, not to the explanation, to you. Think about the last time you had a bad day and said nothing, didn't announce it, didn't describe it, just walked in the door, sat down, and let the weight of it settle on you. And your dog came over, stayed closer than usual, leaned in, maybe rested their head in a way that felt deliberate. That wasn't random. That was attunement, a kind of understanding that didn't require language. The deepest kind of being known, being read without having to speak. When was the last time a person did that for you? Not asked how you were, not offered advice, just noticed, just came closer, just stayed. Here's the part nobody tells you. This is why some people slowly stop reaching out to others. Not because they're antisocial, not because they've given up on human connection, but because they've found a place where the thing they're actually looking for, that felt sense of being received without judgment, of not having to explain or perform or manage, comes more easily. The effort to reward ratio shifts, and the brain, which is always optimizing for emotional efficiency, starts routing more need in that direction. It's not avoidance in the way people assume. It's not pathology. It's the nervous system finding its way toward what feels like home. And home is not a building. Home is a feeling. It's the particular quality of ease that settles into your body when you no longer have to be careful. When you can set down the weight of being perceived and just exist. For many people, more than would say it out loud, that feeling lives on a dog bed. In the particular warmth of a specific animal that has never once made them feel like too much. This evolves across a life. When you're young, the dog is a playmate, a constant, a presence in the background of childhood that you don't fully articulate but deeply feel. In adolescence, when the social world becomes bewildering and brutal and loud, the dog becomes something quieter and more necessary, a place to be honest, when being honest anywhere else feels dangerous. In adulthood, when the weight of being known and managed and misread accumulates, the dog becomes something almost sacred, a relationship with no history of wounds, no accumulated misunderstandings. Just presence, reset every single day. The behavior doesn't disappear, it deepens. The need it's serving doesn't go away. It just becomes more conscious, more understood, more valued. What your relationship with your dog is actually doing, beneath all of it, is regulating you. It's returning your nervous system to something manageable, like a weighted blanket that breathes, like an anchor you didn't know you dropped until the current started pulling. like a room in your mind that stays the same no matter how much everything outside it shifts and changes. You go there and something realigns. The noise quiets, the monitoring stops, the performance ends. You become, for a few minutes, or an hour, or a whole afternoon, just a person sitting in a room with a creature that loves you in the purest, most uncomplicated sense of the word. Loneliness isn't the absence of people. It's the absence of feeling seen. And your dog, without knowing psychology, without understanding what loneliness even is, fills that absence in the most direct way possible. Not because they're a substitute for human connection, but because what they offer is something specific, something rare, something the human heart has needed for a very long time. You are not broken for needing this. You are not lonely because you failed at human relationships. You are not strange for finding more peace in a quiet moment with your dog than in a room full of people. You are a human nervous system doing exactly what it was built to do, seeking safety, seeking warmth, seeking the particular relief of not having to explain yourself to someone who might misunderstand. Your dog doesn't misunderstand you. Maybe they never have. And that is not a small thing. That is one of the most honest relationships you will ever have in your life.